This video is sponsored by Card Kingdom. You can visit their store by using my referral link in the description below. Hi everyone, I'm Nizzanews, and today is Sunday, and that means it's time for my Nizzanews series, which is a weekly vlog series where I talk about Magic news. And we got a lot of Magic news this week. Dominaria United preview season has begun. That means, by the way, that my set review will be beginning next Friday. It's a limited set review. So that's on the horizon. And I was thinking I'd talk a little bit about, in this edition of Nizzanews, about some preview cards. And there is one that I want to talk about, but I actually want to talk more about the release schedule that they revealed, at the same time they unveiled Dominaria United for us. They showed us the release schedule for the foreseeable future, and I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to look at. We could talk about preview cards, but I did that, in my Nizzanews series, which is another vlog series that came out yesterday, where I talk about Limited. I showed some preview cards there. And I'm going to be talking about every single card in the set, in less than a week, in like 5 days. So, we don't need to talk about all the previews. There's lots of other content out there about them too. But the one I do want to talk about is that they're reprinting Liliana of the Veil, which is pretty crazy. One of the most powerful planeswalkers of all time. It's going to be interesting to see what she does to Standard, as a Standard legal planeswalker for the first time since, Innistrad. It's kind of interesting they chose to reprint her in terms of the lore. Like, in the announcement video, they're like, it's her most iconic form, on Magic's most iconic plane. And it's like, okay, but why? Why is she back in that form? But anyhow, she's strong, +1 symmetrical discard, -2 one-sided edict, and then her ultimate can just decimate the board. She is a very good planeswalker for controlling games. Nice and like mid-rangey Jund type decks and stuff, and she will undoubtedly see a ton of play in Standard. It's just, there's no way she won't. She's played in Modern regularly still today. There's no way she doesn't see play in Standard. So that's going to be interesting to see. I don't think she's so good she'll get banned, maybe, but I don't know. If she makes black decks too good, they might just have to ban her because everyone will be playing black. But that's interesting. Liliana is back. So yeah, that's the only preview card I wanted to talk about here. Again, if you want to hear me talk some more about other preview cards, I talked about all the mechanics in yesterday's vlog about limited Magic. And for the rest of this video, I instead want to look ahead to what they're doing with releases in the foreseeable future. All right, so there's at first Dominaria United, and we know after that we're getting the Brothers War. We've known that all along, and we've known that the next 4 sets are going to tell one story, and that was sort of lined out for us about how it is exactly that's going to work as part of the announcements here. So, we've got Dominaria United coming out September 1st on Arena anyway. I think it's the 9th, like worldwide. Then there's the Brothers War, which that's a plain, a set that originally we had this story told to us in Antiquities, one of Magic's very first expansions about Mishra and Urza. I think there must be time travel involved. It's sort of like a Dragons of Tarkir type story where maybe they go back in time and alter the future of Dominaria. Although it doesn't look like the meddling with time helps, and maybe it's actually the Phyrexians that go back in time, because the set after that is Phyrexia, All Will Be One. We're going to New Phyrexia, and so we're continuing this story. Dominaria United is the beginning of this Phyrexian invasion arc, which is something we've seen before. That's what Invasion Block was originally, but the Phyrexians are back again, and that's why, for example, Johnny is completed now in this new set. So how the Phyrexians factor into the Brothers' War, an event that's supposed to have happened forever ago within the lore, how they're going to interfere with that or change that will be interesting to see in terms of the lore, but also mechanically, like how are they going to convey, that this is an old story told in the mid-90s originally, and now we're revisiting it again. That'll be cool. But then we go to New Phyrexia. With Phyrexia, All Will Be One. Is this the hero planeswalkers going to Phyrexia and bringing the fight to them? Or is it some concurrent story told maybe the same time as Dominaria United, but what's happening in New Phyrexia? I don't know, but it is cool that we're going to New Phyrexia again. We haven't in a very long time. the interesting thing about all of this is how they're going to deal with Phyrexian mana. We've seen a little bit of it with the completed mechanic. And, if they're bringing that back, it's such a broken mechanic. It'll be interesting to see how they do it. And if you power down the cards, make them worse if you pay life for them, but, they're still cheaper, then I think that could work, like with completed. But we'll have to see. And that'll be the set that probably drops in like January or so, maybe February. So that'll be interesting. And then we have sort of the conclusion of this all with March of the Machine, which sounds like it's going to be a War of the Spark type battle, between the two factions, between the two groups, the Phyrexians and the not Phyrexians. So that'll be interesting to see. One thing that's really interesting is that there's also a set called March of the Machines, The Aftermath. And that's weird because it almost sounds like an old sort of block model where you have a bigger set, March of the Machine, and then a smaller set called Aftermath. Blocks are gone and you don't really see them. These aren't technically blocks, but the fact that we have 4 sets that are all sort of telling the same story, followed by, this Aftermath thing is interesting. It makes me wonder if they're considering going back to the block model because, there were some advantages to that in terms of storytelling and mechanical themes and stuff. But I don't know. It may or may not mean they're doing that. They certainly aren't doing it now. Because the rest of the releases don't line up with the block model at all. But it is pretty interesting. After that, we return to Eldraine in fall of 2023, so like a year from now. But that's really cool. That was a fan favorite plane. As somebody who, has a PhD in medieval history, I liked all the sort of fun historical and folkloric references in the set, and it was just a really well designed set. Adventures were cool. It was a great limited format. I say it's a well designed set, and I can already hear people going to the comments about how busted it was for constructed, and it was. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, there were some serious problems for constructed, but even despite how strong Eldraine was and how much it warped the format, I think people love it overall. And as a limited format, it didn't really have any problems. It was just excellent. So it'll be interesting to go back there. And then we return to Ixalan. This one surprised me a little bit. I don't really think there's like a whole lot of Ixalan fan people out there. People like dinosaurs, so they'll like that. I'm always surprised that like MTG Top 10 Dinosaurs has done so well over the, since it's been out. Because I'm like, really? Do people like dinosaurs that much? And the answer is yes, they do. It's one of the more popular creature types around. So that will be cool for people. But like, I didn't really love Ixalan in terms of the lore and all of that sort of stuff. It wasn't that interesting to me. But it was a decent limited format. It's a completely new set, so I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. But it is interesting. One thing I don't love here about these releases, even though I'm excited about most of these sets, one way or another, is that in the next year, we don't have any new planes. We're not visiting anywhere new. Usually these days, we have like one new plane. Like we just had Capenna after we visited Kamigawa for a second time, for example. So it's kind of weird to not be going anywhere new in the next year. And yeah, these are the standard release sets that we're looking at here. There's also like a Lord of the Rings set that seems like it's going to be basically Modern Horizons 3, but Lord of the Rings themed because the cards in it are going to be legal in Modern, Legacy, and Vintage, but not other formats. So same legality as a Modern Horizons set. It's not called that, but that kind of seems like what it is. And to talk about that set a little bit, I'm not sure how I feel about it overall. I don't think, a lot of people think the Universes Beyond stuff is like going to be the death of Magic and that it's like horrible for the game and the worst thing that's ever happened. I'm not that extreme about it at all. I mean, there are going to be people who like it. And that's cool. I mean, I'm not against them doing a Lord of the Rings set necessarily, but the question is like, why did they need to do it? But, the one thing benefit about it could be, my wife loves Lord of the Rings, has never gotten into Magic, and maybe that'll help get her into it a little more. And what's crazy is there's also a Doctor Who Commander set coming out. That one I'm actually kind of excited about. We'll see how it actually pans out. But, that's a franchise I care a lot about, and my wife. So those two sets might actually get my wife into Magic. We'll have to see. But, you know, that's the pro side of these universes beyond, and that's kind of the idea. Draw people in who are fans of other things, right? And, you know, I think it's a fine plan, but the idea that, like, especially when it's commander decks like Warhammer and Doctor Who are going to be, when it's a whole Modern Horizons-esque set, I don't know how I feel about it as much. We haven't seen that yet. A whole set that's a universe beyond hasn't been a thing, and that will be interesting to see. But yeah, it is weird. We're not visiting any other planes, unless you want to count Middle Earth, I guess, and a non-standard release set. But yeah, no new planes. You know, I'm excited for Eldraine, and this Phyrexian arc looks like it's going to be pretty cool. Less excited that we're not visiting anywhere new within the Magic multiverse within the next year. I'm guessing whatever's after Lost Caverns of Ixalan will probably be a new plane, but we'll have to see. So yeah, that's you know, a lot of news this week. There's lots of preview cards out there, you know, that are out there to check out. The new set right now looks really good to me. I'm excited about it for limited, especially. And like I said, I'll be beginning my set review this coming Friday, where I talk about every single card in the set and how good I think they'll be in limited. So that does it for this edition of Nizzanews. There won't be one next week because of the aforementioned set review. There will be a video coming out on Sunday, but it'll be like the third video in my series of videos about the set for the set review instead of Nizzanews. But we'll probably be back after that. I'm sure there'll be some news to talk about the weekend after. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and share it so that others can enjoy it too. If you want to make sure you catch future videos, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And if you want to catch up on past videos, you should see a playlist on your screen shortly. Thanks for watching.